Okay, so here we are at the grill, Seth. Time to start cooking.
Time to light the fire.
So tell me about your grill we have.
So there are lots of options that you can do for smoking. There are just dozens and dozens of smokers out of the market right now. Some of them are just they're fantastic products. Some people like to do chunk and hardwood smoke. Some people like to do the pellet. Charcoal is a classic. Personally, I like to use a charcoal grill and make an indirect heat and turn it into a smoker.
Yeah, because I always see somebody, they have their grill here, they have their smoker here, they have their electric grill, they have 3 or 4 different options.
Well, as you can see, I have a gas grill and I have a charcoal grill, so I do have options. And I also have a second charcoal grill as another option for when I grill. But I don't like having just a dedicated smoker.
Sure, why not?
Because it really is, and I understand that though, especially with the pellet smokers these days, they can be cranked up to a really good high heat. They're fantastic products, but I personally like to use wood and charcoal, and it makes it so that I can use this today as a smoker with a rotisserie for the turkey, and tomorrow my family can turn this into just a charcoal grill and grill some steaks, and I can do all those things on those same one product.
Beautiful. So we have our canister here, full of charcoal.
Yep.
What do you have as a lighter fluid underneath?
So this chimney is a classic style. It's the same lighting mechanism for lighting charcoal for 30 years or more doing charcoal grilling. What I like to do is either take the packaging for charcoal. It's really good, just some hard paper that's pretty stiff, and I'll just wipe that paper along the kind of greasy edge that ends up happening, even though you keep your grill pretty good and clean, just to get a little bit of oil to help for the light.
That sounds like a veteran tip right there, right?
It's
reusing.
It's good reuse, right? And then just a normal stick lighter, and this chimney system works really well. And in about 15 or 20 minutes, we're gonna have a really hot fire. So let's go ahead and light the fire.
Nice.
Time to light the fire. So this is all about balance, Adam. We're trying to get balanced heat, and we're trying to get convection. We're trying to get the heat on either side of the bird, and then the heat's going to move around inside of this closed lid of our charcoal grill.
So how long did you leave the charcoal in the canister?
It was about 15-20 minutes,
Okay.
which is just right for getting it good and white.
I feel like that's always a rookie mistake, right? Everybody wants to light their charcoal, get their meat on right away,
Yep.
and here we go. You gotta let the charcoal go gray first. It's so important to let the charcoal heat itself.
Yep, absolutely. So we're going to knock this out here. Those paper towels from underneath. We're just going to make sure this is really good and clean, because this drip pan is going to actually catch some really good flavors. Just one little sheet should be more than enough, and perfect. Here we go.
So you got the coal on the outside, you got the drip pan right in the middle.
Yep, that's pretty good. So we're going to start getting that flavor going, and our flavor profile is going to be with a little bit of oak, which gives some really good heat and some great smoky flavor, and a little bit of hickory, which is going to be a little bit of stronger smoky flavor for our turkey.
And with a name like smoked, we gotta have oak wood chips, right?
Absolutely.
Oak wood chunks. And they're going right on top of the coals.
Absolutely. Oak is a great wood. I'm a little new to this one, actually, to be honest with you. I have been doing pecan and hickory for a long time, but lately I decided that I liked the oak, and I realized as I've been doing more and more of it lately that I knew the oak. I knew the oak from various places that I've been around that do some pretty good barbecuing. What we're going to do right now, we're just going to let this heat up a little bit for about 5 minutes. But the barbecue up at Breckenridge, they do oak. I've gotten used to that smell. That's the smell
smells
that
delicious
they're
already.
doing. So we're going to give this 5 minutes to heat up, and then we're going to add the bird to the grill.
Perfect.
Adam, we're at a great pausing point right now. We got about 10 more minutes on before check on that turkey. The fire is burning just the way we want it to. We got a good smoke billowing out. I think it's a good time for us to change gears and put you in charge and talk to us about how we can pair a good whiskey with some good barbecue.
Well, there's never a bad time to talk about how to pair a good whiskey. That's for sure. That's for sure. Well, thanks, Sap. And you and I talked about this ahead of time. What was going to go on the turkey, what that rub was going to look like, that dry brine, and what you're putting in there, right? So we talked about the allspice, we talked about the peppercorns, we talked about some of the different herbs you had, and we also talked about the wood you used. So I have to immediately go to one of my favorite whiskeys, which is Maker's 46. I love this one. I think it's a delicious whiskey. You actually said it's one of your favorites as well, ironically. But it's a little bit wood forward. Definitely has that oak sense to it. It has a pretty bold flavor to it. And it also has some of those spice notes with a little bit of the sweetness at the end. So I really liked putting the 46 with us.
That's really good. Adam, thanks for bringing one of my favorites, the Maker's 46. If not one of my favorites, it might even be my very favorite. What else did you bring for us today?
Well, again, talking with what we were going, I brought the Buffalo Trace. Buffalo Trace is a world famous distillery. They make Pappy Van Winkle, they make the Blantons, they make Weller, just upper level bourbons that are delicious and world renowned. But I really like their just basic bourbon as well, their Buffalo Trace bourbon. It has a nice oak punch to it, which I think again will tie in with the woods that we're using. It has a spiciness to it, and a little bit of that vanilla again, similar to the Makers that I like.
It's awesome. Buffalo Trace is also one of my favorites. It is always at Derby Day at our house. It's a great pair with any grilled meat, and with Derby Day that I'll have at least 6 different kinds of meat on the grill.
Absolutely.
And I think that the Buffalo Trace pairs well with each and every one of them.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Adam. Tell us about the third one. What else did you bring?
So the third one I brought is a Bullet. Right? Bullet's another one that's really well known. People know Bullet bourbon and Bullet rye right there in Louisville, Kentucky. I brought the Bullet because it has a 28% rye in it. So it's a little bit of a higher rye bourbon. And rye usually gives it a little bit of that peppery taste to it. So I thought the Bullet might pair well with what we're doing today.
Sounds good to me. I can't wait to taste all of them.
We'll try them later, and we'll see which one wins the vote.
Fantastic.
So, Sap, what time is it?
It is almost time for us to check. There it is.
Time to check the meat.
Time to check the meat and time to check the fire. We were right at 350 degrees, and yesterday we were talking about using the infrared thermometer, and I've already been using that to make sure that we are keeping a consistent temperature, to make sure that this thermostat is exactly where we want it to be.
Perfect.
So 350, exactly where we want to be. We're going to add a little bit more fuel to the fire and make sure that the bird's looking good and spinning a good balance.
Okay.
Looks good to me.
Nice
that
natural
bird
spin.
is flipping just how we want it to. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add 2 briquettes to each side for just a little more fuel. Keep it going, keep it consistent. And then we're going to add a little bit more wood on each side. And again, what I was doing for the consistency is that this side is oak and this side is hickory. So that the smoke is just kind of coming together and burning together and meeting the bird in the middle and keeping us at a good temperature. So I'm gonna add a little bit more oak over here, and then I'm gonna add a little bit more hickory on the other side.
Now, Sap, you mentioned needing to keep it at a good temperature. With it being a little bit of a windy day today, is that a concern?
It is, and that with us living here at altitude, living in the Mile High City, we hit windy a lot. We've had some rough days where we really keep an eye on things. Something can go 2 things. You can make it so that your fire burns too hot because too much air is getting to your fire, and you can also hit a situation where you are your fire's gone out. Yesterday we talked about spatchcocking this bird. I'll tell you, on a windy day, spatchcocked with that Smoky Joe isn't always the best thing.
Sure.
So with it being a little bit windier today, I'm real happy that we're going to keep it with the lid closed.
And it's nice to have that thermostat on the outside so you can tell the temperature of your grill, but that doesn't always read accurate.
That's right, absolutely. So we're going to go ahead and set that timer for another 15-20 minutes and check on it shortly.
So, Sap, we got the bird on. Tell me how you came up with the fuel choice that we're using.
That's a great question, man. That just like everything in this whole process, has been a lot of trial and error.
Sure.
A lot of different mixes, and some of them weren't that great. Just trying to figure out what tastes good and what's the right balance. No different than picking the right.
That sounds exactly like when I'm drinking bourbon.
Absolutely. So, growing up, it was always charcoal. Never had a gas grill until I was in my 20s.
Sure.
Don't even remember any neighbors having a gas grill.
Sure.
Everybody just did charcoal. And none of those neighbors added wood to it. It was just charcoal.
Yeah, it's just used for the heat source.
Just a heat source, and the flavor was there. And my dad really liked to let his burn out, so it just kind of went from hot to really slow, and then he'd make it so that meat was really good and tender.
Sure.
So what I've started doing is that I started adding first wood chips, and then more recently moving more into wood chunks.
So talk to me a little bit about that, right? They both can smoke food, but why choose chunks versus chips?
That's a great question. You know, again, it's part of the trial and error. That I was finding that I was burning through the chips really fast, even with a good soak, and especially when I was doing something longer.
Yeah. Where
I could get a better heat source with the chunk, and a better smoke with the chunk, and so I still do use chips. And it is an interesting thing that I like to sometimes balance it.
Sure.
But today we're just going to do chunk.
So when you use a chunk, how long do you typically soak your chunks prior to throwing them on?
It depends. At the very least a couple hours. So today they were soaking for 4 hours, and as we can see after that first check on the fire, it's burning at just the right temperature where it's still really good. We're about 5 minutes into that second wood addition, and we're still right at that 350 that we were shooting for.
Sure. And if you don't soak your wood chips long enough, you'll notice them start to burn quicker. Right. So if you're burning quick, you're not producing the smoke that you want to bring that flavor in.
Absolutely. Some people will argue that when you're doing the chips, that it's just fine. That you just make sure you keep a good consistent fuel going, and that works.
Sure.
But that is up to the consumer and what they like to do. I've definitely seen some guys do it where they don't soak it when they're burning the chips on the gas, and that provides a good flavor too.
Sure. Well, I think we'll be about ready to check the meat again here pretty quick.
Soon enough.
So, Sap, you talked about how you used to use chips. What made that transition from chips to chunks?
That's an interesting story. So a number of years ago, gosh, it was probably like 15 years ago, Steph and I started talking about doing a big barbecue trip.
That doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me at all.
We wanted to hit all the big, awesome cities of the South and experience the blues that we're listening to today,
sure,
and some barbecue. Steph and I both being from St. Louis. So we flew into New Orleans and hung out there for a couple of days and then drove up to Mississippi. I love Mississippi. I went to college there for a little bit. I had some good life experiences, and what I really love about Mississippi is it's the home of the blues.
Sure.
So we ended up in Clarksdale, Mississippi, which is where the National Blues Museum is.
Okay.
Really cool small town where a lot of great blues artists had been. And we were just going to be there for a couple of days, check out the museum, and then head off. You know, Clarksdale is where they say it's the birthplace of the blues. That there at the crossroads, that Robert Johnson traded his soul to the devil for his ability to play the guitar.
You mean the devil didn't go down to Georgia, he went to Mississippi?
Apparently so. Apparently so. And there's even a barbecue place that's right at the crossroads who claims that Robert Johnson was eating one of their pulled pork sandwiches while he made that deal with the devil under the tree. So we checked out a couple of these barbecues. Fantastic barbecue and amazing hot tamales. Love the food there in Clarksdale. We were walking into town, check out the museum, and I saw this guy who had a huge pit going. It seemed like he knew what he was doing. And I went to check it out, but he wasn't open yet. He's really just running for a nice long lunch is how he runs his office hours at his barbecue, and an old Quiznos. So I peeked my head in and saw he wasn't open yet, just peeking through the window, figured I'd check out on the way back. On the way back, I peeked my head in, and the gentleman who owns the operation called me in to come and hang out for a little bit. I couldn't believe it. Who does that? But I guess he's a good, smart businessman who wants to make sure he's making connections with his customers. But he recognized me from a couple hours earlier when I peeked my head through the glass, saying, "Come in, man. It's time for you to check it all out again." So we went in. He put us together a nice plate of all his food. We got some drinks. And he said, "Come check out the grill." How cool is that?
So you got to see the whole smoke pit in the back, the grill, everything behind the counter.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
What a great guy. Super generous dude. He's a retired Air Force guy. He'd spent more than 25 years serving our country, which is really cool. Guy. Very grateful to him. Just the nicest guy in the world. And he takes me over to his grill and he says, "I only use 2 woods, oak and pecan, and that's it." And I said, "Now that's an interesting thing. I'd seen people using oak before, hadn't personally done it, hadn't seen somebody doing the pecan.
Sure.
So what did I do? Is as soon as I came back home, is that I went immediately to the hardware store and got some pecan chips and got some pecan chunks.
Well, pecan always brings a little bit of that sweetness.
Absolutely.
And oak brings that big, bold punch, right? Flavor.
Absolutely, they're fantastic. Turns out that that gentleman, that barbecue expert, knows a little bit about music as well.
Yeah.
That's right. The guy that I was talking to who taught me all these awesome things about barbecuing, his name is Larry Turner.
Sounds familiar.
That's right. He's Ike Turner's nephew. So he knows all about music, and he knows all about barbecue. What a great man, good friend, and a great teacher.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to try his new techniques that he's passed along to you.
I'm excited to taste it too, man. Thanks. 1, go.
So we've been at 3 hours. Timer just went off. Ready to see where we're at?
I think we're ready to go. I took its internal temperature. I think we're exactly where we're shooting to be. Let's go ahead and turn off the rotisserie. Make it stop spin. It looks like we got a good golden brown and delicious color that we're looking for. So we're going to take it off the grill, and we're going to tent it and let it rest for about 10 minutes, and then start carving.
Zach, thank you for an amazing day, brother.
We did a great job. I'm really pleased with the product. Turkey came out just the way we wanted to. It's cooked all the way through, yet still moist.
Well, I'm so excited to share this with you, share this with our families, and then we got to pair it with our whiskey.
I completely agree. This is a great gift for us as good friends, and then especially a great gift for our families to get to hang out together on a beautiful Saturday in Colorado.
Perfect. So we have our meat here. The first whiskey we have to pair with is the Maker's 46. So I'll go ahead and take a little bite. Take a bite of yours. Very tender.
Very tender. I can still taste a little bit of the salt, but not too much of the salt. And I'm getting a little bit of the sweetness of the brown sugar. And I'm definitely catching a little bit of that pepperiness and a little bit of the allspice.
Perfect. Well, that should match up really well with the 46.
Cheers. Yeah, that's great.
That's smooth. That 46 is a little bit bold right there with it.
I'm catching more of the sweetness of the 46 than I'm used to.
Yeah.
And I think it's because of the turkey.
Yeah, could be. So, number 2 we have is the Buffalo Trace. And so we'll do another bite of turkey, and then we'll try with the Buffalo Trace. The turkey provides a nice palate cleanser too from the bourbons.
It really does.
Into a next level.
It really does.
Now, so to me, that's a little bit softer, a little bit smoother.
Uh-huh.
I think that one goes really nice with the turkey.
I'm catching a little bit of the complements between the whiskey and the oak from the smoke. I'm catching that back.
Sure.
Which is nice.
Sure. Excellent. The third one we have then is the Bullet Frontier. So we'll try that as well. This one's got that little bit extra peppery in the rye, so we'll see how that matches. I definitely taste that little bit of extra pepper into it, a little bit extra spice to it. So what do you think? Which one tends to meet the palate the best?
You know, all of these are great whiskeys. And we talked in the opener about how Maker's 46 is just one of my very, very favorites. But honestly, I think the Bullet is coming through for me for the turkey. I just feel like the pepperiness is helping and supporting the way I'd like it to. The sweetness is there and pronounced the way I'd like it to be. And it's just soft, and it's a good, smooth whiskey.
Sure. That's interesting, right? And we can have different opinions. Maker's is absolutely one of my favorites as well. Maker's 46 is one of my go-to whiskeys if I'm just having a sip sometime. But I really like the Buffalo Trace because I felt like the other whiskeys maybe overshadowed the turkey flavor a little bit. And so the Buffalo Trace is a little bit smoother, a little bit more underscored, and it let the turkey flavor shine through. So I probably would have gone Buffalo Trace, Bullet, and then even Maker's 30, even though this is probably my favorite whiskey.
Well, I think what's great about the whiskeys you chose, Adam, is that no matter what, there are 3 whiskeys that we love. Yeah. And that we showed because we each liked a different one with the turkey,
and that we also agree that 46 is just one of our favorite whiskeys, that it doesn't matter which one you choose, you're going to make a good pairing that'll go well with this smoked turkey.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, we're going to put it on you guys now. So, on our Facebook page, Smoked Barbecue Ampersand Whiskey, try your whiskey, try this turkey rub, and let us know what your favorites are. And we'll see you soon in our next episode.
Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Have a great weekend. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and soon on our YouTube channel.